guys, and welcome back to GTRU. This is episode 7. Today we're going to talk about the usual stuff, which is entertainment, music, and technology. But we're going to start out with our reviews.
Alright guys, so we're going to start out today with American Horror Story, Season 5, Episode 3. It's moving along pretty nicely, honestly, compared to the first episode. The second one also built off a lot as well. And the third one was actually added a new character. The girl who plays, remember Shane the 3? Did you see Circus?
Yes.
I remember the woman that had the 3 tits. They introduced her character in this episode, and basically she's a former love of Elizabeth, Lady Gaga. So basically, Lady Gaga got her to fall in love with her, and then she tried to share her power with this rapper. He was up and coming, and basically she tried to make him a vampire, and then Elizabeth found out, and she blew his head off. Remember that? And I was like, what is going on? And then she's like, so basically she's trying to use Donovan, who was dumped by Elizabeth, to get revenge on Elizabeth. And we actually find out about her as well, on what her plan is for the owner, Drake. She's basically going to marry him to take his money. So, and then her and Tristan are going to live happily together, rich. He's like, oh, he didn't even know. He's like, I thought you were rich. She's like, no, I'm broke. Basically.
It's going to be interesting what's going to happen, actually.
It is. It really is. What else happened? Also, Donovan's mom, Iris, she was trying to make amends with him, and you find out more about their backstory, why he hates her so much. And then she was going to kill herself. Sally was going to drug her up, basically. And that almost happened, but at the end, Donovan gave her his blood, so she's probably going to come back like a vampire. I feel like this season's really focusing on vampires this year.
I think it's just Halloween. They're trying to get more towards the monstery.
Well, yeah, it's American Horror Story, but I feel like every season has a signature thing. Like here's season 1 with the ghosts.
True.
Patients, the witches, the circus. And the hotel kind of reminds me of the ghosts, but also has vampires. Like they have their own creatures. I feel like every season.
I can see where that goes.
The detective, the 10 Commandments killer.
Oh my god.
That was holy crap.
Birdo.
Basically, you find out more where he killed a whole building of people, and it was all because they were lying. It was one of those companies that they make rumors about people. So he's basically trying to figure that out, and then his wife wants a divorce now. It's nothing going good for him. But also, I did hate the fact that there was a cliffhanger. His wife, Alex, finds Holden. And her son, remember?
Oh.
The episode in the hallway? I was kind of and they didn't show what happened after that. I was kind of
honestly, wait, how many more episodes are left in the season? Not left in the season.
There's usually 13 episodes, so there's only 10. This show just started.
So they do have a little space to play with. They can leave little cliffhangers and such.
Yeah.
So you can have the viewer more interested in hopefully seeing what's coming next. So that's always good, though.
It is, but it's also
it sucks to have to see really. You can't
so
tell me a little
sometimes
more?
there's just those cliffhangers that you just have to give you some resolve. But if not, but it also want to make you come back each week. That was about it for the episode. To touch on yet. We find out episode 4, so the show's moving along. I gave it about a 9 out of 10. And it's been an average season. I actually, so as of now, I enjoyed the 4th season the most. That was a very good season. I like that season a lot. But, what'd you give a Shani episode?
I give it a 9 out of 10 as well, actually. Honestly, the episode did work together very nicely. I felt that it did explain a lot of questions, but as he said, it did leave a cliffhanger.
American Horror Story has that thing where it starts off with a lot of questions, and it's one of those shows where they all don't get answered.
They get answered throughout the show.
Yeah, it's kind of I'm still waiting for this answer. But good show. Definitely a great time to watch it. Halloween. It's Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah. But we're going to be moving on to our next show now. For the Sleepy Hollow review, that's another show that's been moving along pretty nicely. Sleepy Hollow, to me, is kind of like a standard show, but it continues to impress every week with how it keeps going. It's more serialized this season. So now, like I said, Pandora is trying to destroy the Earth with this tree, and basically this week she releases another monster. So it's like one of those shows where like every week, remember how Gotham was? There was like a different villain each week. It's
Yeah,
kind of like
season one.
it's kind of like that show. So like that format. So basically, this week she releases the Tooth Fairy, and what he does is that he goes to children like when they're sleeping, and he basically makes them go to a coma, like a deep sleep.
Does he steal their teeth?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh God.
Yeah. And only they can see it. Adults can't see it. It's invisible to adults.
I've heard that before. It's like an old mythological legend
Yes.
about the Tooth Fairy.
The Sleepy Hollow, they do that with characters. That's why I like it so much. A lot through fairy tales, like you have the Tooth Fairy, Headless Horseman.
I know this is getting a little bit off track about this episode, but are they going to be talking about the new movie with the Santa Claus's, what's his name? Kratos? Not Kratos. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Which
We'll get back to that. Continue. I'll tell you later.
all right. Well, anyway, so basically, so you have the Tooth Fairy now. So basically, when they find out that kids are going to coma, Abby and Ichabod are like, "Oh my God, something else is happening," another supernatural threat, and then they're trying to figure it out. Ichabod's heard about it. They go through their whole thing, and then they find out when they first encounter the beast that it's invisible and actually severely injures Abby. She ends up going into her own coma. So now Ichabod is and only Jenny, who is Abby's sister. She's been doing her own thing, but she actually helps them in this episode. So nothing with there was nothing really this week about the stone, which she's been trying to like figure out why everyone wants it. It's more about this Tooth Fairy. So basically, what they did, they found out that its weakness was lead. So there's a special kind of lead, and when it was exposed to this lead, it became visible. So with that, Ichabod was able to stop and kill the beast. Now, the thing is interesting about the season, though, is I feel like they're being played. She's the villain. She's like a witch. She's been unleashing all these monsters from this book, but basically, every time that they thwart a monster, the tree that I've been talking about that is like sucking the life out of the earth is getting stronger. Like every villain, like every monster they kill, a flower blooms. It makes the tree stronger. That's why I feel like this is all just a big game.
Just trying to.
Like they think they're thwarting it, but in reality, Pandora wants them to. And so it's interesting to see what her full game is. And actually, she does pay a visit to them. They actually have their first encounter with her. When Abby wakes up, Pandora's there. She basically warns her about the threat and how the world will no longer be as we know it. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out in a couple weeks. This is going to be this season of Sleepy Hollow, I think, is its longest season. The other seasons were about 13, and they extended it to 18 this season. So hope it does good. I don't know if it'll be in its final season. I don't know if they're going to cancel. Hope not. I enjoy it myself. It's very interesting. And actually, for all you don't know, if you watch tomorrow's episode, it is going to be a Halloween special for that show. But Sleepy Hollow and Bones are doing a 2-hour crossover episode. Since they play on the same night, they're basically combining, and all characters from each universe are basically going to be in this episode for this special.
That's going to be really interesting.
Isn't it? Yeah. Bones has been around for a while. Honestly, Sleepy Hollow is a lot like Bones, except it doesn't deal with supernatural stuff like Sleepy Hollow does. I never really got into it, but if you watch Bones, you can now get a glimpse of Sleepy Hollow, see what it's like. It's going to be interesting to see how they're all come together and why they're all together.
A lot of crossovers recently.
Yeah, like Arrow and Flash will be soon, but we'll get into that. I gave the episode about an 8.5 out of 10. Nice, decent episode, but not as good as last week. Last week was crazy when I told you how he injected himself with the blood and
then they stabbed him and he
that was
took
cool.
out.
Yeah, but that's it for about Sleepy Hollow.
Remember the name I was going to tell you?
Yes.
The guy's name is Krampus. Do you know a story about Krampus?
Yes.
About?
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to use him?
They could, honestly.
That would be interesting because at Christmas time.
Yeah. I mean, it's Halloween now, but we'll see, because it's 18 episodes, you usually take a break. So I'm assuming they'll take a break after 9. So this is our 4th, so we'll see how it moves along. We'll let you know about the next episode next week, and we'll be moving on to our next show.
Alright guys, now we're going to be talking about Heroes Reborn. Holy crap, this freaking episode had me on the edge of my seat. Literally, I almost fell on the floor. But please, come on, tell me about this episode. Well, tell them about this episode.
All right. Well, basically, what happened in this episode was a lot. First off, Noah and Freddy were interrogating the copy of Paris they got from Erica's house, and he's basically taking them to Renatus, extending to free Hero. And then at the same time that's happening, Miko is trying to save her father in the video game, and then you find out basically that it's at the hidden fortress that he's at is in the same base as where Noah and them are going, so they end up running into each other. So basically, you find out as well that she is basically playing this game to unleash Hero, and that what Renatus has done is brilliant. What they did with this game, which actually I liked as well, they finally made it clear why this video game is so important. It was actually containing Hero. They put him in a place where there was no time and space, like they did not exist, so that way he could not use his power.
Actually, he didn't age either, too, which was awesome.
Yeah, he was just kind of in like a comatose state, like he couldn't do nothing. He was just a prisoner. And time was just not affecting him. It was really cool because time and space didn't exist. It was kind of like he was never getting older, and yet he was getting younger. Like he was frozen in time.
Yeah, like I know it's kind of dumb, but like in Kingdom Hearts, how he was just sitting there in the giant box, except for he actually grew up.
Exactly, or like when you freeze, like in movies where like they freeze you and you get unfrozen 40 years later, and you're still the same age.
I was gonna say Han Solo, but that's not like that. But
Han Solo basically like that as well. But that was really awesome, really interpreted. But unfortunately for Miko to unleash Hero, she had to sacrifice herself because she wasn't real. She was just a piece of software. That's all she was, basically. She was basically incorporated into the game.
that's what I don't understand, though. I could have sworn she was like a part of humanity, though.
I think she was, but I think what they did was that she was like human DNA mixed with, you know what I mean? Like
With computer DNA, with computer software.
Because Renatus is advanced like that, and that's why she was made. But it's unfortunate because when she did that, she died. You know, she's not in the show no more. But she did accomplish her task, which is what she wanted to do. And also, what else? Oh yeah, then Freddy as well. He
Poor Freddy.
He wanted to help his sister Phoebe, she's helping Renatus, and basically she ends up killing him, unfortunately, and then Noah knocks her out. So. But he died, and then once Hero was unleashed, Noah's like, we need to go back to that day. I need to find out what happened. And now
that's where the show ended.
That's where the episode ended.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
June 13th. The show ended. I'd be like, what the hell?
Yeah, when you told me, I was like, we have to watch this episode. No.
But does that mean we're going to see Claire? You know what I mean?
That would be great.
Because, like, that's when she died, or allegedly died. Because there's been a lot of hints saying that she's not dead.
Being that the actress Hayden Panettiere, she's very busy with the new show, not new show, but old show, Nashville.
Yeah, that's what
I don't know if she's going to be in this.
I know. I don't know what they're going to do, how they're going to explain it. Who knows?
It's going to be interesting. Hopefully they don't use a different character, a different actress.
No, that would take away majorly. But also minor things happened as well. Like Carlos and the cop are basically at the compound. The cop sold his nephew to Jose. That's right. He sold his nephew to this, and then Carlos is like, "I'll give you your money back, which I stole, if you help me break in." But at the end, the cop ends up drugging him with his blood. I don't know if he's planning on betraying him or if this is part of his plan. But I guess we'll find out about that. Also, we finally got a nice character moment for Luke. He's kind of been just there in the background. Like, how are you helping the plot move along? I feel like a lot of the weeks he was just there to fill time, but he actually ends up crossing over with Melina. She ends up going to the same boatyard as him, and he actually tries to kill himself, and she saves him. And then basically they start talking for a little bit, and then she has this envelope, which Farrah gave her in the last episode. The envelope has a picture of Tommy. So apparently her mission is to go to Tommy, and together they're going to save the world, which is also great for Tommy's storyline, because now we know that there's a point to his story as well. Because the main story was really Noah, I felt like it at a time, but and then the other stuff was just to the side. You didn't know how it was going to connect, and now everything is. I feel like this episode connected a lot. Like, now we know where everything is headed.
You think so? Being that, well, I can agree with you, but I actually have to say I disagree a little bit. I felt that it wasn't with Noah at all. I thought he was just the side part. that he was looking for Claire. And I thought that everyone else, like all the Evos, were like the main story.
Yeah. That's true, but like he didn't know how they all connected. They all were
Yes,
separate
definitely,
things. And I mean,
definitely.
this episode really clarified on that, which is what we like. We like, oh, now I know
Yep.
the guy. So now everything else makes sense. And that was, I don't know what else happened. I think that was basically it for that episode. I gave it myself. I loved it. It was a very big pickup. I gave it about a 10 out of a 10 myself, honestly. It was very nice. And then, of course, Renatus, Erica's like freaking out. And also, Taylor, her daughter, don't forget, remember she was doing a terrorist group. Remember she like, I have information, I got it, so.
Like the rising tide from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay. But no, yeah, I don't know what her story is about, what she's going to be doing now, because she did put that out, her mom saw it and everything.
She's trying to, I guess, whatever with Francis, but like, I don't know what happened to Francis. So, I guess we'll find out later on. But it looks like next episode will be interesting as well. What'd you give it?
I gave it a 10 out of 10, also being that it did answer a lot of questions. I just wish it didn't end that part it did. It did end a good part, don't get me wrong. I'm really glad the next episode's going to start on June 13th. I just really wish I got to see a little bit more.
Yeah, but that's why they keep you hooked.
True.
Alright, we're moving on to our next show.
Hi guys, well now we're going to be talking about Z Nation, but I know it sounds weird coming from me saying Z Nation. Usually he says it, which he's going to continue because I am still trying to catch up. So Jacob, please take them away.
Alright, so where are we? Oh yeah, Z Nation, we are on episode 7. Basically, picking up right where episode 6 left off, when Cassandra was just killed by 10K, and now the group is smaller than ever after they lost both Serena and Cassandra. So I think there's only 6 of them now, I believe. Yeah. So they're basically trying to get American Stowed to California. And this week they actually end up going on a boat, and they run into some old fellow friends of theirs that met in season 1. They were honestly very funny. They honestly made the episode entertaining as well. They were like a bunch of comedians, like Skeezy or something like that. But like they were a bunch of just bullshitters, honestly. So they go on the boat with them. They get attacked by zombies, and they actually get separated from 10K. And basically Doc's like, we gotta save them. We can't leave them behind. But everyone's like, the mission's more important. And then Doc, just being loyal to 10K, is like, I don't care. I'm gonna go look for myself. 10K in the meantime gets stuck with Skeezy, and they actually run across a couple of survivors who want their stuff, and they're like, oh, well, my friend here is the Great Murphy, and he's going to cure you if you give me all your supplies. And they actually believe them. They bullshit him because they made Skeezy bite them to cure them with a bunch of bullcrap. Funny stuff, though. They should end up going to a town where, or a community where they basically steal supplies from people by making them think they're at a dentist. They take the truck that they were using, and basically bring it back like, oh yeah, we're the new guys and everything, and they enjoy the community. There's like girls there and stuff, but then just come back, and then they want punishment for them taking their spots or their jobs. And then a Scorpion comes. He's a gangster. He's been showing it currently throughout the season. It gives them like a trial. They try to get out of it, but that was about it. But then Doc and the group end up saving 10K, and that was about it. And at the end, Skeezy said that they'll cover the group when they get attacked by a giant wave of Z's, and that's the last we see of them. We'll probably see them in other episodes. Like, they show up here and there, so they're one of those very, like, cameo characters. Honestly, as much as the episode was funny, I only gave it a 7 out of a 10. That being because, for one, I feel like the plot did not go anywhere. Like, these last few episodes have really been big build-ups to, like, what's to come. And also, there wasn't, like, any special zombies. I like special zombies as well. And the only reason I gave it a 7, like, the rating I gave it was because of Skeezy. They made it so much more worthwhile than if 10K were to be stranded by himself. But they're going to continue their quest as well to California. That was about it for that episode. Hopefully episode 8 will be more of a build-up and actually pertain more to the main plot. Also, hopefully we see Citizen Z. He has been absent for like almost the whole season now. He's been only showing up in like 3 out of the 7 that have premiered. But that's about it. We're going to be talking about the next show, which is our famous Walking Dead. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about.
Guys, now we're talking about our next zombie show, which is The Walking Dead. Okay, well, in this show, a lot of stuff happened. Jake, as always, please tell us elaborately what happened in the show. Comments.
This show is, like I said, the last 3 episodes have just been nothing but like action. Yeah, like just nothing. But I feel like the next episode will be a lot more dramatized. We'll get to that.
With Morgan.
Yep. So basically, we're continuing where we left off with the other group that's trying to stop the Horde. Basically, the episode starts when the Horde is still going, but it's showing what Rick and them were doing while that was happening. Basically, they're just trying to stay ahead of the herd, and Rick is like tells Michonne to take the remaining survivors back to Alexandria, and don't let anyone stop you from getting back. If they die, they die. And Heath overheard it, and he was like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?"
But what Michonne did was correct.
Yes, basically, so they end up going to this abandoned like little like town area, I'd say, and they basically on their way there they get attacked by zombies. The one guy gets killed. The one kid he shot. Remember?
Yeah.
He shot the black guy. I think what's his name? David, I believe.
He got bit in the leg.
No, the one guy got shot in the leg.
Oh yeah, he got shot. Oh, and then the other guy got bit in the back, like right here.
Yeah, David got bit in the back, and then the black guy also got shot in the leg. Scott. Anyway,
what about the
the girl
yes.
as well? She actually just sprained her ankle when they were running, so that was pretty bad. So they were injured, and then they ended up going to this town, and they stayed up in this like hardware store, basically. And as Michonne and Heath have it out, he's like, "What, Rick? Why are you letting Rick say that stuff? You're letting people fall behind." And Michonne's like, "You don't understand. You haven't been through it." She's like, "You will never basically, you will never find out what it's like until you have your friend's blood smeared all over you.
You don't know whose blood it is.
Like, yeah, you've been on supply runs, but we've been through it all. We've been through attacks. We know how to kill. We're just at that state of mind when you guys just aren't there."
No.
That's basically what she told him. He was still being a jerk about it.
But actually, at the end, towards the end of the episode, you started to realize that she's actually correct.
Yes, it forms, and that's what I like about this episode. It really breaks down the character arc and like where their mindset is from the beginning to like the end of the episode. So basically, the herd basically overcomes them, and they're like, "We have to get out of here now." They leave the town, but Andy gets killed, and then David also gets killed when they were trying to climb over the fence. And the ironic part was that at the end of the episode, when they're dragging the black guy, he looks at himself in the lake, and he has his friend's blood all over him. So it's like,
yeah, that's the part I was talking about.
That now he's like, "Oh my God, she's right." Like,
a lot of things are gonna change.
Yeah, like that changes you seeing that happen, occurring right before your eyes. And he also he begins to act like her. Towards the end, when basically when he gets eaten, he's like, "Screw it, leave him." Because remember, he's like, "We're not leaving no one behind." But ironically, in the end, they ended up leaving him.
Yeah, he was like, "We gotta go."
Yeah,
he really
he finally understood at that point what she was saying.
Yeah, which is good though, because they would have made it if he didn't.
Exactly. He's a fan favorite too. I like him. He just he's not experienced. He doesn't know what it's like yet. Well, that'll change probably as the show goes on, because anyone who stays on, they either change for the worse or the good. What else happened? Well,
our good friend might have passed.
Yeah, we there's we don't know yet, but there was a major death.
Yes.
As I say, we don't know yet. It hasn't been confirmed. So what happened in the middle of all this while they were in this town? Glenn was with them along with Nicholas, and again with the character arc, we actually break down Nicholas's like mentality throughout the episode, how he's like starting to lose his crap again, like he's starting to freak out, and this guy like, "Oh no, he's gonna do it at the wrong time. Oh my God." You see it, and then basically in the episode, they agreed to go burn down a building to distract the walkers.
But
they end up going to the building; it's already burned down.
No.
And after that, they are surrounded by walkers, and they end up going down an alleyway where they're really trapped. They lose less of their ammo, and then they kill as many as possible. Then they go on this dumpster for safety. And Nicholas, at that point, he just lost all his
Everything. He lost all shit.
Yeah, he freaked out. He blacked out. I don't know what it was, but he was basically looked at Glenn. He was like, "Thank you," and he shot himself right in the head. Now that part wasn't the sad part. The sad part was that in the middle of doing that, he ended up falling on Glenn, and Glenn was not able to keep his footing, and he fell into the herd of walkers. At the end of the episode, you see Glenn surrounded by these walkers, and what appears to be his intestines being ripped out from him. But if you watch it at an angle, first off, he still has a flare gun from what she was going to start the fire from. So he still has that. And also, intestines aren't in your chest area. It was showing them ripping open his chest, taking intestines out. Now that just can't be possible because there are no intestines in your chest. It's more in your stomach. So which goes to show that Nicholas was actually being eaten on top of him. And yes, he had a look of horror on his face.
Because someone's being eaten right on top of you.
And also, are you gonna make it? He probably thinks himself, "Oh my God, I'm screwed right now." So like that happened, and what I believe will happen is that they're gonna eat Nicholas, and his guts are gonna be all over his body. And after a certain while, it masters sense. So the walkers will not pay attention to Glenn. If he hides under the dumpster, he should be fine. Also, from the angle, when it goes further, you can actually kind of see it better, where they're kind of just converging. You see Glenn more in the back, like he's kind of hidden. So what he could do is wait it out and shoot a flare, distract him, and get away. And another thing, too, if you watch The Talking Dead, he was not in the memorial section. They did not classify him as a dead character. And also, usually when, I'm not saying this is true, but usually it happens all the time. When a character dies, there's always someone there with them, meaning there's always a witness. So the fact that they killed him off with no one to see...
It's not confirmed death.
Yes, it's not confirmed at all. It makes you wonder. And also, Robert Kirkman and Scott Gimple, the showrunner, have also stated that we will see a piece of Glenn, whether it's in backstory or if it's with the continuing story. So basically they're saying we're going to see Glenn again, but to which end? Are we going to see him in a flashback? Are we going to see him still alive, or are we just going to see him be a walker? Basically. Which sucks, because knowing The Walking Dead, they're going to make you wait 4 or 5 episodes to get the answer.
Yeah.
That was very upsetting. Internet has been in big uproar over this death. They're like, oh my God, Glenn, he's an original. I mean, if he's dead, there's like 4 original characters left. It's just going slimmer and slimmer.
All you have left is Rick. Morgan, actually. Well, he's the original still.
Yeah, Rick.
Morgan. Carol.
Rick continues to form into more of
Shane.
Yes, as the show goes on.
Actually, honestly, I think when we were talking about this before, I think he's getting worse than Shane.
Oh, yes. The thing with Shane is that he got to that point more quick than Rick did. Like you have to remember, Rick woke up 60 days after he was experienced to all that. And every person's mentality is different.
Yeah.
So basically, he broke down, I think, like earlier, like just faster. And that's what Rick's happening to him. Rick, though, I think is just getting to a point of no return, like Shane, but worse. Because he basically was like, I have to round these walkers up. He can't let this go. He ends up getting to an RV on the way there. Yeah, and basically, on the way there, he gets attacked by walkers, and the one knife actually cuts his hand open, so he's really wounded. There's some funny theories about that. People are saying that because it was inside the zombie, it's infected, he's got to cut his hand off.
But it's not the zombie blood, because everyone is infected by themselves.
And
so
to kill that rumor, Scott Gimple again said that, let me tell you guys, Rick is going to get through this. He's going to put some bandaged ointment and he's fine. He basically flat out said, no, that's not what's going to happen at all. Like, don't think
he's going to die.
That's very stupid. And we're like, people, will walk down are just thinking of any possibility. But what happens is that he gets to the vantage point and he gets attacked by wolves. And the ironic part is that it is the same wolves that Morgan let go at the very end of episode 2. So if he were to have died, it would have been Morgan's fault. But Rick, being Rick, was able to overcome them, and he killed them.
All of them.
Yes, first there was 2 guys that jumped him, and he took them out with his pistol after like a brawl, and then they were sneaking across, and he basically just unloaded machine gun fire and just wiped them out. And then after that, he ends up searching one of the wolves, and he finds baby food.
Yep.
And he's like, "Oh my God, Judith!" So I think he was actually gonna go back, but then the freaking RV died.
Yeah, he was really scared when that happened because all the walkers just started surrounding him.
And after that, he was honestly what was very sad is that overall this is a very hard episode. A lot of losses.
A lot of maturity. What's going to happen?
A lot of death, especially with Glenn. If he died, I just don't know what we're gonna do. And then now he's Rick surrounded by a herd that he's supposed to lead away, and his car's broke down, so he's trapped. And what was very saddening was to see his look of defeat.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of just like, after everything, this is gonna happen to me right now. Just can't catch a break. Daryl too. He's been very underdeveloped this season. You haven't seen much of him.
No.
But he just left them. He was kind of like, you guys can handle it. And looked like he was going back home, but then he ended up changing his mind, and he went back after they lost contact with Rick because he was attacked.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to see what's going to happen with this show. It's always a shocker. Next week looks like it's going to be an hour and a half.
Which is going to be good.
So it's going to be focusing a lot on Morgan. So I don't know if it's going to be all flashback or
just a little bit.
Yeah, and there was a sneak preview where he was basically like burning bodies, but he had like more of a beard then, so I don't know if it's a flashback or not. But very interesting. Overall, I gave this episode 10 out of 10.
I definitely agree with you.
Finally. This kid's like 9.6, 9.9.
I'm sorry. I just gotta tell you, there's some things in the show that I was just like, you know what? I need to see a little more.
Yeah, I hear you. But I've been giving it 10, so I'll freaking.
You have, which is good though. I'm glad that you give me a 10.
I've been enjoying it. It's been, honestly, as of now, it's proven to be a lot better in season 5. Also, we're going to get back into the drama genre. Things have finally, calmed down. Like, I feel like every episode, I'm kind of like, my God, this is a lot. It's happening. Like, what did I just watch? Almost every episode. It's crazy. They did say that this season was going to be a lot darker, but we will tell you what happens in the next episode. Also, the Flight 462.
Ooh, new episode.
Part basically what's happening. The hostess was giving them drinks, and basically the kid was talking to someone about, your parents. Oh, she's getting my mom's gonna be on the next flight, and we're me and my dad there, and everything. And then that one girl who seems like very hidden, she's kind of like, sure. I think she knows. But
I think she knows something.
That was really all about that show. But we're excited to see what happens on there, see who survives and is on the next season of Fear the Walking Dead. All right, and we're going to be moving on to our next show.
All right, guys, so today we're going to be talking about none other than Batman in the show called Gotham. Jake, please take it away, being that I'm still trying to watch it.
All right, you enjoy the rain.
I will try.
All right. So basically, we're continuing from episode 5, and we're basically continuing the Firefly arc. And what's basically been happening is, now that she's with Selena, Selena's like, you need to get out of town because everyone's been looking for you, the police, her brothers that she was with, and they basically robbed this like sex slave operation. And they get a bunch of money, and basically after that, she's going to skip town, but the brothers end up kidnapping her. And then after that, Gordon approaches Selena because they catch her on tape. And he's basically, where is she? I can help her. And Selena reluctantly agrees to help him, only if he keeps her safe. Meaning, like, nothing's going to happen to her. So basically, she tells him what she's doing, and basically at this point, she's done with bullies. She ends up killing her brothers after they basically branded her there. They're like, I'm done with you guys. She's fed up. She killed them, and then she went back and she freed the sex slaves at the operation, but then the police surrounded her. They tried to smooth it over calmly, but she ended up going crazy with the flamethrower, and what happened was the cop ended up shooting the tank, and it was filled with gasoline, so it was leaking on her, so the flamethrower actually ended up burning her alive, and she died. And fortunately for Gordy, to tell Selena, she basically hated him. She's like, I can't believe I trusted you. I will never come to you again. And then she actually slips that Penguin is the one that hired Firefly to burn Enterprises, and now he's starting to get his wheels turning, basically, like, why are they so interested in doing Enterprises? Hopefully he'll find out what Theo's up to, because Theo, oh my god, he is such a snake. He is so conniving and manipulating, but he makes such a great villain. I'm not gonna lie, Theo Gallivan has made the show very interesting. The way he acts, the way he's able to be like a step ahead of everything. He thought of every different angle, and he just continues to surprise me as the main antagonist. As we found out that the Gallavans have a grudge against the Waynes for disbanding them last week. Basically, he's there to destroy Gotham and kill Bruce Wayne to basically enact their vengeance. So speaking of Bruce Wayne, he's actually become quite good friends with Theo. He ends up going to their house for dinner. He's having a nice fling going with Theo's niece. I forget her name, Seaworth or something like that, but she's a very pretty girl, that's moving along. And then, also he's beginning to learn to fight. Alfred is teaching him how to box, how to be, better, more focused, and their training's continuing. And then he also asked Alfred about the computer which he destroyed, if Lucius is having any luck with it, which we haven't heard about since the second episode, so I'm glad to see that they bringing it up. It's going to be back, just probably not going to come back until it's fully fixed, so let's hope that happens soon. Penguin, oh my god, Penguin is a mess still. He wasn't showing that much, but it had a lot to do with his servant Butch. After cutting his hand off, Butch basically went to Theo to work for him to infiltrate the organization, but Theo is too smart for that, and he basically was like, we're going to rewire you, and you're going to set the Penguin up. So basically, he sends him back to Penguin's suite, and he's basically, oh boss, he's like, I just found out the location of where your mother is. And basically after that, Penguin's like, yes, good job, you're very loyal, but we all know that it's a trap, so I'm very kind of nervous about where the Penguin's going to be at this next episode. And then also the big shocker was they brought Firefly, who actually lived down to a division in the basement, which belongs to Wayne Enterprises. So what are they doing? It looks like they have a bunch of familiar Batman villains down there. Basically, we'll probably see a massive breakout and they'll get out, so that's going to be a disaster when that happens, and if that happens. That was about, oh yeah, Sir Riddler. Oh my god, his story is starting to really form now, and basically we're starting to get more from this from this Ms. Kringle storyline. So basically they're doing fine dating. He's become more like her type, more approachable and forceful, but then he ends up making a big vital mistake. He ends up telling her that basically he killed her ex, he was abusing her, and he killed him for that reason. And she said, "Oh my God, you're following me! You're a murderer! You're going to jail!" And he basically panicked, and he's like, "Please, let me understand this for you only." And you could tell that he was really struggling to make her understand that he was doing it for her, but in the process of doing that, he ends up strangling her accidentally. She dies, and he ends up heartbroken. So, now he's got two dead bodies that he is basically killed. Got two of them to deal with. I mean, like, he could deal with one, but like, he's murdering left and right now. It's only a matter of time before he gets caught. But he is shaping more and more like the Riddler that we know, and it's very sad to see this type of story playing out. We'll see how that goes, but that's about it for Gotham. I give it about a 9 out of 10. It was very good. It definitely continues the story. It's focusing more on other subplots. Was more of the main this week. With Firefly just wrapping stuff up in the last episode. I like it's just more serialized this time. Hopefully, in due time, we touch upon like Mr. Freeze and Clayface. Some characters we haven't seen yet. But basically, that's it. We'll be moving on to our next superhero show, and stay tuned. Alright, so now we're moving on to The Flash, and what an episode this was. This is episode 4 of season 2. Basically continues where Victor Stein, he went to a coma because he was missing the other half of himself, because Ronnie ends up dying in the wormhole at the end of season 1. So basically, they're looking for another half, and basically, there's two candidates. There's Henry Hall, and then there's Jackson. He was a football player, and Hall's a scientist. Hall doesn't work out because for some reason the molecules weren't compatible. It happens. So then they tried Jackson, but he was very not sure if he wants to give his life away to be a superhero, basically. And after that, because of Hall trying to actually interact with Stein the first time, he ends up getting powers of unstable fire, and he ends up getting mad, and he has some kind of record of battery, so they end up like, oh, let's go with Jackson. And after that, he gets jealous. It's like, that was supposed to be my power. So there's a big fight between him, the new Firestorm, and Flash, and that battle was very nice. They basically found his weakness, exploited it, and stopped him. So I like that. Other things too, we're actually getting more than we thought from this Iris's mom storyline. Basically, Iris finally confronts her mom. I don't want nothing to do with you. I wish you well, but we need to live our separate lives. But then the mom tells Joe that she's dying from McGregor's disease, and then Iris looks into it, and she realizes that she's telling the truth, but then that she also lied, because it turns out that she also had a kid 8 months after she left them. So now this is interesting, because since she's a West, that means it was a little brother. What she stated was a boy. And so that means we're going to be seeing Wally West. So that means Wally West, as you all know, or those comic fans know, that Wally West ends up becoming Kid Flash. So we're going to be having another speedster. This will be our third speedster that we have. Actually, nothing too big on Mr. Garrick this episode. He did not make an appearance whatsoever. So basically, oh yeah, and Patty Snoot, Barry's new crush, or is basically Joe's telling Barry to make a move on her. She likes him, and then she's trying to find this shark. And actually, I was like, oh, maybe this is King Shark. And sure enough, at the end, it is. He was sent back to kill Barry, but then the just returned, as I talked about Harrison Wells, he just came back, he actually saves Barry, and then at the end, Barry faces him, and then they ended like that. So we don't know if this Wells is a good version or a bad version, but he did come from Earth 2, as we saw in the episode last week in the after credits scene. Overall, it moved along very smoothly. I gave the episode about 8.8 out of 10. It was very good. I can't wait to see what happens next, and I can't wait to see what other Flash films we're going to be seeing. And then the Arrow and Flash crossover will actually be happening very soon, and I cannot wait for that as well. Speaking of Arrow, I'll be going over Arrow next. So Arrow, my God. I think I like Arrow a lot better this season, honestly, than I did last season. It's just so much more storyalized, so many more twists. Season 3, don't get me wrong, was great, intense, and had a dark take, but I feel like this one just flows more nicely. So basically, in this episode, Double Down is hired by Damien Dark to basically wipe out the Team Arrow. And actually, half their team is missing because Laurel and Thea end up going to Nara Pamrat with Sarah's body to put her in Lazarus pit to bring her back. And we do end up seeing the Dark Arrow, who is now Ra's al Ghul, and he warns them, but they end up doing it. She comes back wild as Nisa, who was against it, said, and then after that, they have her locked up, and she's just not the same Sarah who we love and know from seasons 2 and 3. Basically, after that was that storyline, and then also Malcolm agreed to help Thea control her anger. She has to go to this mountain of some sort, and it will help her. So we'll explore that as the show goes on. Actually, Team Arrow, which actually consisted of the original lineup, which is a very nice throwback, was with Felicity, Oliver, and Diggle. They're basically fighting Hive members, trying to get more information about this whole organization, and then that's when Oliver, Diggle finally able to talk out their differences, and they're able to finally gain trust back in each other. Basically, Diggle's giving him a second chance, and Oliver is apologized, and he's doing what he can to show Diggle that he's very sorry for what he did to him in season 3. Diggle also explains to him that he's known about Hive since Deadshot told him that he was hired by them to kill his brother. So now that Oliver knows this, that he's like, we need to stop these guys, they're a very big threat. And basically, they end up facing Double Down, but because they were having trouble with teamwork, he's been able to thwart them. But Felicity, actually, along with Mr. Terrific are they're trying to find out his next location through a card, which is part of his DNA. His power is to generate cards from his tattoos, which is very awesome. They do end up tracking it, and he ends up returning to get the card back, and he attacks them, and then she has a trace on him. She puts a trace on the card, and they are able to track him down and stop him. So that was very good on all. So they got him, and that was really about it for this episode. Dark continues to be very lethal Thors. Captain Lance, they don't know that he's being blackmailed by Dark yet, but hopefully they will find out as the season goes on. I've been giving every episode is made at a consistent pace, so I've gone 9.5 out of a 10. It's been a lot more interesting than Flash. Flash, like I said, it's more time travel, but I feel like some of the characters in Flash compared to Arrow are a lot more underdeveloped. And also we have to see when Oliver's going to make his big reveal that he's going to be the next mayor for Star City. But we'll keep you informed. That is it for our shows for the evening. And actually we're going to be talking about a very special event that happened over the weekend, which was the Back to the Future anniversary. We're actually going to be talking about the Back to the Future because I was able to see it over the weekend. It's an old movie, but this was a drive-in season finale. So basically, it showed all three movies, and it was a celebration of the 30th anniversary. And this is very important because in the second one, they end up going to October. What day was it? In 2015, we actually passed the day.
We did.
It was 21st. So it was October 21st, I believe. And basically, in that year, they thought there was going to be
flying cars, hoverboards,
Jaws 19.
Yeah, oh my, Jaws 19. Holy jeez.
What was cool about these movies is that after they ended, the commercials weren't like other previews. It was Back to the Future commercials. They were showing oh, if you want a hoverboard, you can buy it at this retail store for this much money. They also did one where they ended up doing a commercial for Jaws 19, like an actual movie commercial.
Really?
Yeah, and he's like, so it was so funny. He's like, Jaws 4, The Revenge, Jaws 5 versus the Russian Mueller shark, Jaws 6, the tiger shark, and he's like, and I went through the whole thing. Jaws, the alien from the shark alien. Invasion of the Jaws. It was so funny. They showed every 19 films basically of the fictional Jaws series in Back to the Future. So everything you saw was related to Back to the Future. It wasn't a real commercial. It was you were watching it in that time.
That's actually really cool.
It was really cool. I like that a lot. I was just freaking out. But for those of you who haven't seen Back to the Future, you really should. They're very funny. It's about Marty and his colleague Doc, and they get to a lot of disasters after Doc invents a time machine. And the best part is that when I was watching these movies again, I was like, what an effing disaster.
Every single movie.
And the best part, I lost it, the third one, when they were trying to get back home from the moving train.
Oh my god, no.
And basically something happened, and after 3 movies, Doc looks at Marty and goes, this is a disaster. It's oh really? After 3 movies, you just realized that? It was there was so much stuff happening. And it was just so funny, that movie. The first one, he ends up going back in time, and then he
almost dates his mother.
Yeah, he's almost never created. So basically, he just gotta get that back together. And Biff, I hate Butthead. It was so funny. He was annoying in that one because he's a bully. And his father finally got the nerve and just whammed him right in the face. So that was great. I gave the first one myself a 10 out of 10. I thought it was very original. I liked how everything was, and for its time, it was very, very interesting. Second one was basically going to the future to fix Marty's son because he's going to jail for a robbery that Griff, Biff's great-grandson, gets involved in. So that one, Marty gets Griff arrested, but then unfortunately something bad happens.
With needles.
Yes. And also with his girlfriend, Marty's girlfriend. Remember, she ends up seeing her future self?
Mm-hmm. And she faints. And
then they have to take care of that. But then while they're doing that, the old Biff takes the time machine. He goes back in time, gives a handbook.
The almanac.
Yes. the almanac, he gives him that, his younger self that, and basically it tells you who's going to win every game up until the 20th century, 50 years. So he got rich off that, so when they went back in the future, everything was different. Basically, Marty's mom was married to Biff.
Mm-hmm. She looked way different from
Yeah. And then, like, what happened? And they realized, oh my god, Biff fucked everything up.
He did. He really did.
So then they go back in time. They find out from Biff when he gave it to them. They get away. They go back in time, and then that one was interesting because that one there was two Martys because he was back in time from the first one. Oh, it's all mind-boggling, everything. But the ending of that one was also a cliffhanger. There's a thing of lightning that strikes Doc's car, and he actually ends up going to 1859 or 1885. He ends up going back to 1885.
Imagine being back in those time periods when you need to watch a movie.
And this freaking guy comes up to him. I have mail from you. And basically Doc knew he was going to be there at that time because he got sent that. It was so great. So then at the end of the movie, the 1955 Doc basically was sending Marty back home, and then the other Marty comes out. So I just sent you back. He's passed out. And then the third one, basically Marty goes back to save Doc because he's going to be killed by none other than Griff's great-great-grandfather. It's like, damn it, Biff, can you go away?
Did you say Griff or Biff?
I meant Biff, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, I was just sorry.
But basically Biff's just like, Biff's in every movie, like, go away. So basically in that one, they're trying to go bring him back, and then Doc ends up falling in love with Claire. And then he's like, I'm so depressed you left. And then there's that big showdown, but they end up getting Marty home, and that's how the series concludes. But overall, I think one of the greatest series of all time, honestly.
It is.
It's so classic. Christopher Lloyd is hilarious.
I don't know if I told you about this yet, but they do have something on Netflix. It's called Back to the Future, Back in Time. And it explains the creating of Back to the Future, the movies, has a little history behind it. It's like a little documentary. It's very interesting if you guys are curious about it.
Yeah, that's awesome because it goes back behind the scenes, like how they did the special effect. Because for that time, it was like, wow, that was really good.
Yeah, for that time period.
80s, 90s, but that's it. We're going to be moving on to some entertainment news, and then that's will be it for our first video of the night. Alright guys, so we're going to be finishing off our video here with some entertainment news that we found interesting. First off, we're going to be talking about the new Suicide Squad photos that have been surfacing, revolving around the villains. Joker, we want to really talk about the Joker. He really is like, Jared Leto's really nailed his like look down too.
Definitely.
He looks a lot like the Joker from the cartoons, like the Mark Hamill version. That's why he's elegant. He's got that look about him. I feel like Heath Ledger was very short.
Yeah.
And Joker's not like a short person, but he played him well. But like Jared Leto, I feel like is really calling back to those animated fans. Speaking of Batman, talk us Batman.
Yes, talking about Batman. Well, the trailer for Batman vs Superman, they pretty much said it's not as much hype as it was supposed to be compared to Star Wars. Because Star Wars 7, it broke the internet, literally. Everyone was shocked to see, oh my god, this trailer for freaking Star Wars, we didn't think it was ever going to come out. Basically, he said that we want to make this trailer better with having a little more story about Wonder Woman, about her history, and about how she's going to play into the movie. Have that in the trailer so then they can break the internet. But that's pretty much what they have. And that's actually from iDigital News.
Now, what's question?
What's your question, sir?
Do you really think that they will be able to?
I don't think they will, honestly.
I mean, Batman vs Superman, don't get me wrong, it's been a very hyped film for years.
It has.
And it does look good, but like they said, they haven't hyped it as well. And on Star Wars, I'm sorry, Star Wars just looks absolutely fantastic.
It really does. I'm really happy that they finally said, we're making the new Star Wars movie. It's going to happen. We'll not make it, but it's going to be put out there.
It's going to be very captivating. It's going to be very hard to top that. I mean, the Civil War couldn't top it. The freaking Hunger Games last movie didn't top it either. So We'll see how that works out. Speaking of Batman vs Superman, it's going to actually go right into our next story. There's been a TV show been confirmed. It's going to be called Krypton, and what it is it's going to be taking place 200 years before the events of Man of Steel, which is the first DC cinematic installment. So basically, it's going to explain more about Krypton's backstory, and we get to see more of, Joel when he was younger, his wife as well. And basically, maybe we get to find out why the planet dies. Basically, like maybe someone caused this sickness to happen to make the planet, be destroyed. Hopefully they explore that, but it's very interesting. I can't wait to check that out. Hopefully, it will be a part of our discussion for GTRU in the near future.
I really hope so.
And last but not least, Shane will go over it. Some very sad news.
Which news? Do you want to talk about this or do you want to talk about that?
Actually, I'm sorry. We actually 2 more stories. We'll talk about Thor.
Oh, we'll talk about Thor Ragnarok. Well, it's going to be starting production in 2016 of June. They won't be starting a film actually until January 2016, which that honestly doesn't make any sense to you.
Well,
Like they're actually going to start pre-production is going to be in July. Not July. January 2016, and then they're going to start filming in June. What do they do in that time period?
I think, I feel like this is going to be a very big project. I feel like Marvel, we've not seen a Phase 3 movie yet.
No.
Phase 2 just ended with Ant-Man, and honestly, I feel like every phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe basically tops the one before it. Like, Phase 1 was very good, introduced, the main team. Then Phase 2 got more into, the Guardians of the Galaxy, more of, where the heroes are headed. And then Phase 3, I feel like it's a climax. It's climaxing everything up, leading up to that Thanos battle, which we know is going to be in the next Avengers. So, I feel like these movies are getting so big, it's taking a lot longer for pre-production before filming. Because you have to also remember that Mark Ruffalo is now at the heart of Thor Ragnarok, and he is a huge character. So they're probably, I think they're trying to incorporate a lot of stuff into these films now. Because you have the Civil War. How many people are going to be in that?
A lot of people.
Spider-Man's debuting in that.
Not Black Panther yet.
Black Panther.
They gotta make the movie still.
No, his first appearance will be in Civil War.
That'd be really fun.
They actually confirmed that he won't be either with Captain America or Iron Man, that he has his own conflict happening in his homeland, but that he is connected to the Civil War somehow. So maybe something happens in that country that makes the government be like, we need to regulate your powers. You know what I mean? He will be part of the story.
That's good.
Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2, Tom Holland actually faced an injury filming.
Oh, yeah.
There was a stunt. They actually filmed it, so it'd actually be in the film, final take. He actually did a crazy stunt, and he ended up landing face first on his face.
Where was it on that he actually had? I don't remember finished reading the article about it.
Pavement,
No. Well, where was it? How high of a jump was it? I know it had, he smashed his face.
It was a decent jump, an average New York City building, not a huge skyscraper, but a decent sized building. They said that what happened was that everything just was off by a second, and that he jumped at the wrong time, wrong angle, and boom. But that it came out at a nice take, so he kept it.
Yeah, I saw the picture. He got a scratch on his nose, a scratch on his face.
Oh no, an injury already.
Yeah, they're just starting.
Jeez, but yeah, we'll let you know some more Thor and Phase 3 movies. We can't wait. There's a big list. You got Civil War, you got Doctor Strange next year. Then you're gonna have Thor Ragnarok. You're gonna have Black Panther, another Avengers. You're gonna have there's another sequel coming out. I believe Guardians of the Galaxy 2. You're gonna be having Ant-Man and Wasp. That'll be Ant-Man 2. That's about it. You can check it out. Go online. You can definitely find news about it.
Yeah.
And then actually, finally, we have some very sad news to end this video. The Friday the 13th new reboot has been moved to 2017. This is very sad because this is honestly the third or fourth time they've done this. It originally was supposed to release in March 13th of 2015. That was almost a year ago. And then it was planned for November 2013 release date. And that came, it's coming in, nothing. And then it was planned for March 13th, 2016 release date. But now it's been moved to January of 13th, 2017. So I don't know what's going on with that franchise.
It's never coming out. Just know that.
I feel like horror, the big horror icons has been a lot. I don't know why it's taking forever. Jeepers Creepers 3 is taking forever to come out too.
But yet they have a trailer out.
It's not going into production until 2016. You fucking assholes.
Seriously.
Excuse my language, but seriously. But that's about it for our entertainment for this week. Moving on to technology. We have a few stories for you today. Most of it's about the gaming conference happened with Sony. We'll get into that, and here we go.
All right, you guys have now seen the entertainment part of our show. Now we're going to be moving on to the technology part. Click right here on this video, you'll be taken right to it.